Hello there. My name is Stefan Brumbaugh and I am the teacher for this course. This class is called Drafting and Blueprint Reading, or Drafting and Print Reading for short. This is a class that is dedicated to helping you understand how to read and create technical drawings. It is the beginning level class for the design side of the Design, Production, and Aviation Academy here at Piper High School. In this class, you're going to learn how to both create and read mechanical, technical drawings. And we're going to do it all on pencil and paper. If you are concerned about not having any real artistic skills, that's perfectly fine. We will be utilizing drafting tools for the majority of our coursework. There are, however, some assignments where you will need to be able to draw freehand, and we'll talk through techniques to make that work a little bit better for you at the beginning of the course, or at least when we come to that part of the course. So let's take a look over here at our slideshow, and we'll get started from there. So again, like I said, this class is Drafting and Print Reading, and my name is Stefan Brumbaugh. The first thing we need to ask ourselves is, what is drafting and why does it matter? The first unit that we're going to talk about is the Introduction to Drafting and Blueprints. This is a pretty complicated but still representative example of what an architectural drawing looks like. This is a mechanical drawing. Both of these are things that can be created with pencil and paper. However, these specific examples have been created using computer-aided drafting techniques, something that we will talk about in this course, but we won't really start doing until the courses following this one. For this class, we'll be utilizing tools similar to these in order to complete our drawings. We'll talk about what the tools are, how they're used, how not to use them, and anything else. So what is this class about? Like I said, learning how ideas become real objects in buildings, accuracy, standards, and clear communication, manual drafting and print reading fundamentals, and an intrinsic idea that sloppy work equals bad communication, not an artistic style. It is the intention of this class for you to be able to accurately represent parts and ideas on paper and do it repeatedly and in a manner that other people can understand. So let's take a look at our Canvas course here. Get out of this. Currently I am in student mode, and I do have a couple of plugins for Canvas that make mine look a little bit different than yours. Specifically that the course is spread out on the screen and that I have some differences in the way the task area looks. If you're interested in these changes, we can talk about that later. The first thing I want to do is let's take a look at the course description for this class. So let's take a look at the highlights here, because I've already covered essentially what's in this first paragraph here. Basically, we're going to talk about the language of technical drawing. You'll learn the core types of drawings and what industries they're used in, how to interpret them accurately, and how to create them. That means that understanding views, lines, scales, proportions, and dimensioning conventions. These are all things that we will learn throughout this course. Also, this course does align with the Kansas State Department of Education competencies for the class Drafting and Print Reading. Other things that we'll look at throughout this class is blueprint confidence. So blueprints stop being intimidating once you understand their grammar. You'll learn how to identify symbols and legends, notes geometric dimensioning basics, and how features are represented across multiple views. You'll get primarily hands-on drafting skills. You'll practice essential manual drafting skills with that every designer starts with. Lettering, sketching, geometric construction, basic projection techniques, and accurate dimensioning. We'll talk about how to take what is a drawing that is on a two-dimensional surface and make it appear to be three-dimensional. We will do the reverse as well. We'll take what is apparently a three-dimensional drawing on our paper, and I'll show you how to unwrap it into two-dimensional space. We'll talk about some simple math. We'll talk about fractions and decimals. You'll be able to add and subtract them, and you'll be able to convert between them. Finally, we'll talk about career foundations. So what careers can you expect to do once you have pursued education in an area that involves drafting? By the end of this course, you should be able to confidently read and produce functional drawings and sketches, understand industry drafting standards, and interpret multi-view drawings as well as schematic drawings. And you'll be able to communicate ideas visually with accuracy and clarity. You'll walk away with a skill set that feeds directly into the architecture drafting class, the architectural design class, CAD, CAD 2, and the interior design classes. So let's take a look at the syllabus that is attached to this course. You can do that by clicking Next, which is hidden behind my little window down here in the corner, or you can go back to the home and click on the syllabus link there. It will open our syllabus in a Google Doc. That's not what I wanted. I want to click there. So here's our syllabus. This course will take place primarily in class 0801, or the engineering lab. There might be times that we meet in some of the other classrooms in this space, but that will be atypical and will be communicated to you beforehand. We've already covered the course description, but let's talk about how your assignments will be given to you and how you will turn them in. All assignments and resources will be accessed through Canvas. Due dates posted in Canvas are the final say on when something is due, unless you have communicated to me beforehand. Skyward is the official gradebook for the class, so if there is anything different between Canvas and Skyward, go to Skyward. That's the final arbiter. There are no prerequisites for this course, and there is no lab fee for this course. There are, however, some items that you need to bring with you to class. First off is our textbook. You will not be getting a physical copy of it, and we will not normally be doing readings out of the textbook. You will have access to it through Canvas. It's called Exploring Drafting 12th edition. You are free to download to your computer now, or you can wait until it's needed, if it's needed later on in the class. It is a very good resource if you want more information or if you've missed a concept somewhere along the way. You should bring 0.7 millimeter lead mechanical pencils and 0.5 millimeter lead mechanical pencils. There will be some drawing implements in your drafting kits, specifically for red and blue leads. But the majority of your work should be completed in pencils that you bring with you. You also need a clean eraser. It can be a pink eraser or something else, something that will not smear on the paper. Finally, you will need a 1/2 inch to a 1 inch 3-ring binder. So let's talk about the course rationale before we move any further. Drafting fundamentals have remained consistent for decades, but the way that people draft has changed dramatically. That being said, even those who utilize a 100% digital workflow to create drawings and parts and building designs and things of that nature started somewhere, and they probably started with pencil and paper. I have found that this is the best medium for you to be able to get your ideas down into a visual format without running into limitations placed upon you by the CAD software or by our architecture software. Also, especially for those of you planning on going into the architectural field, many of the contacts that we have spoken with in the industry say that it is incredibly important to have the ability to communicate ideas on paper before going into the software that they use. It is a lot faster, even if it's not quite as accurate. Okay. We've also covered most of the course goals and objectives, but I'll run through this list really quick for you. Identify and distinguish between architectural, mechanical, and other related technical drawing types. Demonstrate a knowledge of career opportunities. Apply organized drafting standards, including line conventions, dimensioning practices, and sheet layout requirements. Perform accurate manual drafting techniques. Produce clear, consistent architectural and engineering lettering. Create sketches and geometric constructions and basic 2D drawing techniques. Dimension drawings accurately according to industry guidelines. Demonstrate visualization interpretation skills and orthographic projections. Identify and correctly use common architectural and mechanical symbols. Recognize and explain common digital file formats. Define and demonstrate professional work ethic, and take responsibility for your actions and demonstrate accountability in the classroom and in our projects. So there's probably a lot of words in those course objectives that you didn't understand. We will talk about all of these key terms as we go along. Nothing unusual about the evaluation scale for the class. It's 90, 80, 70, 60, and anything below a 60% is an F. The classroom breakdown is as follows. 40% of the course grade comes from our classroom projects, meaning the labs that you're going to do. The midterm and the final exams are worth 20% of the overall grade. They will be strictly drawing assignments. You will have a portfolio that you will update and keep accurate. You'll have a that's worth 20% of the grade. You'll have a daily grade, participation, safety, cleaning up after yourselves, that is worth 20% of the grade as well. The portfolio checks are things that I will do 4 times throughout the semester. Those 4 portfolio checks will come up or will be represented by the 20% of the grade that is the portfolio. So let's talk about this real quick. You will be turning in all of your assignments digitally. So you will create your papers and you will do all of that work manually. But when you are done, you will take a picture or you will scan your completed work and turn it in on Canvas. You then must keep your physical copy. Because when I do a portfolio check, if your physical copy is not present, then I will retroactively change the grade on Canvas to a 0 until you can produce that physical copy. I don't expect you guys to cheat, but this is just a safeguard to prevent that from happening. Attendance and late work. Regular attendance is essential due to the hands-on nature of the course. I can't check out drafting kits to you. There are 2 other classes besides this one that utilize these kits. Therefore, it's not something I can send home with you. Therefore, if you run into an issue where you are gone and need to make up work that you can't complete during normal class time, you will have to come in during advisory in order to complete those assignments. If you know that you're going to be gone, let me know in advance. That way we can make sure that you get your work taken care of and you know what the expectations are. When it comes to late work, as soon as the due date is passed, your grade will be entered as a 0. For each day that it's late, you will lose 1 percentage point from the maximum total, up to a limit of 70% of the overall grade, or rather, until the maximum you can get is a 70%. So, for example, let's say you turned in an assignment that you did perfectly, but it's 30 days late. You're going to get a 70% on that assignment. But let's also say you did 50% of that work, and you turned it in 30 days late. That means that you're going to get a 35%. If you have any questions about how that works, just let me know. But long story short, don't have late assignments. And if you do, you're losing 1 percentage point per day. General classroom guidelines are pretty simple. Be in the classroom when the bell rings. Have your tools and equipment out if I have told you when you came in to get them. Raise your hand to speak during discussions. Don't interrupt. Electronic devices should be off and out of sight per school policy. If you need to leave the room, you will use eHall Pass to use the restroom. If you're going to another teacher, then you must have permission from that teacher before you're allowed to leave, as well as myself. What else? There was something else there I needed to say. Hopefully it'll come back to me, or I will pop it in later. Let's see. Right, I remember what it was. Building policy says that all headphones that you guys utilize must be wired and can only be plugged into your laptops while we are working on assignments in class. I have no problem with you listening to music so long as you are utilizing your laptop and wired headphones for that. Anything else falls under the school's electronic device policy, and we will follow those steps. We will, if you abuse that privilege and are trying to listen to music when I'm lecturing or demonstrating, then you will lose that privilege. Hopefully that does not happen. Alright, so that's basically it for the syllabus. Let's pop back into Canvas real quick and take a look at what else we have in here. Emergency procedures, which you should be familiar with for the school at this point. You can go through that at your leisure. In the materials section, you'll see things you should acquire. That'll be the same list that we found in the syllabus. Here is the link to the textbook, should you wish to go ahead and download it. Remember, there's no guarantee that we're even going to use it, so you can just leave it here for the time being. Here in a little while, you're going to do a survey that will ask questions about your course schedule for this semester. We will also, at some point before class is over, assign you drafting kits so that you can have the same one. You will share it with 2 other people, however. This form will just ask for your name and what kit number you have been assigned. Below this is a digital copy of our workbook. It has all of the assignments that we will do throughout the semester except for your midterm and your final. You will have a physical copy of this in your drafting kit. And finally, before the end of class, you will complete this very short knowledge check quiz. Alright, so let's go through here and talk about some of the stuff that we do in our course. So the first question is, what is drafting? Well, as you can see on the screen right here, drafting is the process of creating accurate technical drawings. It communicates design, size, and construction. Drafting is used before anything is built or manufactured. But overall, drafting is a language. You can see in these three examples, well, two of the examples anyway, there is a lot of text in here. Some of it is as simple as some of it is as simple as measurements, degrees, information about specific features, things of that nature. Other times, though, it can be way more complicated than that. For example, in addition to our diameters, we have tolerances, we have screw callouts, we have specific industry language when it comes to types of materials that are being used. This picture here is a picture of a standard manual drafting tool set. Each of these tools have their own names and uses. We'll talk about those and you'll identify them individually as we go along. But overall, drafting is the process of creating articulate technical drawings that communicate how an object or a structure is designed, sized, and constructed. The next question is, what is print reading? Print reading is interpreting technical drawings. It's understanding the dimensions and symbols and notes, and it's knowing what the drawing is telling you to do. There are entire textbooks dedicated directly to blueprint reading. We're going to go with the quick overview version of print reading in this class. Just as a fact of you being able to create the drawings that we're going to do, you will learn a lot about print reading there. There is an entire language of symbols. That's what's a very few of them are listed down here. You will not be expected to memorize all of the symbols. The common ones that you'll use a lot, sure. But there's never going to be a time when you as a professional or you as a student in this class is going to be denied having a lookup chart for the drafting symbols. So that leads to the question, if blueprint reading is part of this class, what is a blueprint? It's a technical drawing used for construction and manufacturing. Although it is a historical term, but it's still commonly used. Looking down here at the bottom, this is a blueprint in the purest form of the word. Blueprints used to be created or drawn on blue paper. All of the design and all of the notes and all of the light stuff like that was done in white. Today, pretty much everything is printed after it's been completed using some sort of computer-aided drafting software. We will be replicating this using the drafting tools, but it is still commonly used, but the term is still commonly used, like I said. Blueprint is a technical drawing used to communicate design or detailed design information for manufacturing or construction. So we've seen a couple of different examples of drawings as we've gone through this slide set so far. For example, this one here is an architectural drawing. Architectural drawings are a type of technical drawing that represent buildings and structures. They show layouts and dimensions, materials, and other construction details. On the screen right now, we have a typical floor plan for a second story of a house. And we also have the front elevation of a house, so you can see what it's going to look like from the outside. In addition to architectural drawings, we have mechanical drawings. A mechanical drawing is a type of technical drawing that represents parts or assemblies used in machines or manufactured products. It emphasizes more precise dimensions and tolerances, and it is more about the creation of things rather than places. On the screen here, we have two different drawing types. So we have what's called an orthographic projection here. We have different sides, so a side, a front, a back, and a top view. We also have what's called a section view. You can tell that because of the hatching here. Then we have an isometric view. Earlier, when I was talking about making three-dimensional shapes on a two-dimensional plane, this is what I'm talking about. This looks like it's got, you can see the front, you can see the side, and you can see the top. But it is still very much flat. So, as I mentioned earlier, the differences between architectural and mechanical. Architectural is about buildings. They're often scaled to different sizes, and they have a construction focus. Mechanical is usually related to parts and machines. They usually give full-size dimensions, and they have a manufacturing focus. So the question is, where is drafting used in the real world? Well, the answer to that is almost everywhere, especially in the construction trades. You're going to have detailed mechanical and architectural drawings of the structures that you're going to build. You'll have engineering and manufacturing drawings in areas in order to create precise parts. You'll have architecture and design, both exterior and interior. You also see them a lot in robotics or computer numerically controlled tools, CNC, or other fabrication areas. Here are a few different careers that you can take based on drafting courses. So we have architects, engineers, CAD drafters, machinists, carpenters and builders, and a whole large list of ones that are not even listed here. Alright, so what I said, today's assignment is going to be complete the survey in Canvas. No cats in the classroom. Once the kits have been assigned, fill out the drafting kit assignment form, and then at the end of class we're going to complete knowledge check number 1. Overall though, expectations going forward from today: accuracy matters, following the standards matter, taking care of our tools and equipment matter, and neatness matters. You will very quickly get to a point where you will be losing points on your assignments if they are not cleanly erased, or smudges have been removed or haven't been removed, or you're just being sloppy with your work. The tools are there for a reason, especially when we get to those parts of the assignments. You need to use them. Alright, that's basically it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.